Are you still there? Good, because this time, I won't be speaking in the voice of light. I'll be whispering, like a soft breeze brushing past your ear when the rest of the world is asleep. I'm an owl, and I come alive when the night falls. You see, many creatures live to be seen. They crave applause when they spread their wings, attention when they call out to the world at dawn. But I'm different. I wasn't made to attract gazes. I exist in the moments no one's watching, and that's exactly when I see the clearest. When you pull away from the noise and switch your phone to silent. When you lie in the dark and there's no one left to impress. You might hear me, not with your ears, but from somewhere inside you. A small voice you've been ignoring for a long time. I've heard people call me weird, because my head can turn almost all the way around. My eyes look too big, like they see through you, and my call sounds like it echoes from another world. They look at me with curiosity, and then they move on. But there's something they don't know, that I was born to observe, not to perform. My eyes can't shift side to side like yours. They're locked in place, as if the universe is reminding me. Look carefully, choose wisely, and once you've chosen where to look, stay with it. So, I turn my whole head, slowly, silently, as if I'm rotating the world itself, trying to understand it from another angle. And you? Have you ever paused long enough to truly observe something? Not to judge it, but to understand it? Or do you scroll through your feed like a reflex, swiping through images that won't even last 5 minutes in your memory? When I was just a hatchling, I looked like a puff of breathing cotton, seeing everything but unable to fly. I was scared. Scared of the tall tree. Scared of the deep shadows. Scared of the leaves rustling in the night. But then, wings grew. Not for soaring like an eagle, not for gliding like a gull, but for cutting through wind, quietly, without a trace. No one heard me coming. No one knew when I left. But I was there, exactly when I needed to be. I live deep in the forest, where there are no streetlights, no honking cars, no deadlines or unread emails. Only the wind threading through my uneven ears, the faint crunch of mice beneath a blanket of snow, and a voice within reminding me, here, in this darkness, is where the hidden becomes visible. Does that sound familiar? When the world is rushing by in the daylight, you're doing everything right, saying what people want to hear, smiling just enough, and then night comes, and you finally return to who you really are. Maybe you're like me. You don't need a spotlight to exist. You just need a darkness deep enough to see the things no one else notices. I'm an owl. I'm not afraid of the dark, because I know sometimes the darkest places shine the brightest light on someone's truth. And if you're listening to me now, in that little room of yours, where the noise has finally stopped, maybe you're starting to come alive too, just like me, when night falls. I listen with uneven ears. You listen with intuition. We're not that different, are we? I've watched humans rush to respond, interrupting, applying filters, crafting captions, fast-forwarding through the very moments they're living. They listen, but only to reply, not to understand. I'm not like that. I sit, I wait, and I listen to the things that aren't said. The tremble in a breath, the heaviness behind a simple, I'm fine. I can hear it all, even the emptiness. Have you ever met someone like that? Someone who says it's nothing, but you can feel everything falling apart? Someone smiling at a party, but inside, you hear a silence so deep, it almost echoes. I hear that, just like I once heard the soft drop of a leaf disrupt the steps of a deer trying to sneak away from fear. Because I don't just hear with ears, I listen with the belief that truth lives in what people won't say out loud. And you know what's strange? Even though I can hear insects rustling underground, I've never heard myself lie. Owls don't lie well. We don't need to. In a world where everyone is trying to say more, I choose to listen deeper. Maybe that's why I live so long. Not because I'm the strongest, but because I've listened long enough to know when to act and when to let go. What about you? Do you ever hear something inside yourself? Not the lines you repeat every day, but the one thing you've never dared to say. Silence doesn't always mean loneliness. Sometimes, it's the only way a real voice can finally be heard. I'm an owl. I'm quiet not because I have nothing to say. I'm quiet so that maybe you can hear yourself. Have you ever been misunderstood just because of how you look? I have. People passing by stop and stare at my round eyes, my big head, my soft feathers like a ball of popcorn. They smile, they giggle. Some even say I look like a cartoon character stepped out of a kid's movie. Sweet, harmless, cute. Honestly, I don't blame them. Appearance is often the first thing humans notice, and sometimes the last thing they care to understand. They don't see that beneath this fluffy coat are talons sharp enough to crush bone. They miss that behind these gentle, curious eyes is a survival instinct millions of years old, not designed to entertain, but to endure. You might think I'm cute, but to that mouse over there, I'm the apocalypse. My feet have 4 toes, 2 facing forward, 2 back. What scientists call zygodactyl. It lets me grip, twist, rotate, and tear. My talon strength? 500 psi. That's right, 8 times stronger than the human hand. I don't just grab, I crush. Then I swallow. Fur, bone, whoa, all of it. And just a few hours later, I cough up a neat little pellet. Something you might have dissected in science class once. Funny, isn't it? I'm featured in children's books, turned into cartoon stickers, made into mascots for wisdom and intellect. But out here, in the real world, I'm a silent, surgical, unapologetic predator. And the strangest thing, I used to wish I didn't get treated like entertainment. Not because I hated being liked, but because I know how it feels to be boxed in by what others expect you to be. Do you know that feeling? When you try your best to just be yourself, but people still see you through a lens they made for someone else? The gentler you are, the more they expect you to be soft. The quieter you are, the more they assume you're weak. And when you finally speak up, sharp, clear, unapologetic, they flinch. They say, "Wow, that's not like you." No, I didn't change. I've always been this way. You just never saw me hunt. Once I spared a baby mouse. Not because I was soft, but because I sensed. It needed more time to learn how to survive this forest. Another time, I struck a snake slithering toward my nest, and left nothing behind but a red trail stretching across the leaves. I don't boast about victories. I simply do what needs to be done. What about you? Are you living the way you need to live? Or are you shrinking, softening, smoothing your edges to fit the mold someone else built for you? Maybe it's time to shed the fluff they draped over you and reveal the claws you've always had, not to hurt anyone, but to protect yourself from those who only ever saw you as adorable. I'm an owl. I might make you smile with my round eyes, but I was born to make the dark think twice. Some birds take off so the sky can hear their wings. I don't. I fly without sound. Not because I'm sneaky, but because I was built for perfect silence. My wings aren't like those of an eagle or a hawk. Along their edges are specialized feathers that split the air, soften the turbulence, and turn flight into silk. You could stand directly beneath me and never know I passed overhead, just a shadow. a presence without name, but accurate, close enough, right on time. I don't fly to be seen. I fly to get where I need to be. I once heard humans say, silence is golden. But then I watched them run from silence like it meant failure. They speak too fast, post too quickly, react just to prove they still exist. And me, I can stay silent all night. But when I fly, it means I'm ready. No one knows, no one hears, but the result speaks for itself. Maybe you're living that way too, without realizing it. Quiet, but sharp. No need for applause, just enough wind, and the right moment. I once flew over a forest where everything screamed to be heard, but in a tiny corner of that forest, there was nothing. No mice, no wind, no insects, just a stillness so deep that when I flew through it, I didn't feel like I was in a place. I felt like I was inside someone. Have you ever felt that? Like you're surrounded by people, but something in you still feels separate? Everything looks okay on the outside, but inside, it's like an abandoned forest, waiting for someone to really see it and say, I'm here. I don't need light to see. I don't need sound to hear. I feel you. The same way I once sensed a baby deer holding its breath in a thicket. It didn't move. It didn't make a sound. But I knew. It was scared. Just like I've always known when someone tries to hide their pain behind a perfectly timed smile. When someone is trying so hard to be okay, just so nobody else has to worry. Someone like you. If you've ever felt invisible in a crowd, if you've ever thought, no one sees me, then remember, I saw you, not because you lit up, but because you were quiet. I'm an owl. I live in the dark. And I recognize the souls who are learning to fly without making a sound. Hey, with all the noise you hear every day, from texts and clicks and half conversations and unread messages, when was the last time you actually heard yourself? I'm not asking what you're thinking. I'm asking, what are you feeling? Have you ever walked into a room, flipped on the lights, and still felt cold? Not because of the temperature, but because even though your body's there, your spirit isn't. It's hiding somewhere else, not wanting to be seen. I've lived high in the trees, where wind howls and darkness stretches without end. And I learned something up there. You don't have to be seen clearly to exist. You just have to be brave enough to keep living, even when no one's watching. Are you doing that? Are you living like you matter to yourself? Or are you waiting for someone else to validate your worth before you allow yourself to breathe? Have you ever gotten tired of needing a reason? For every silence, every heavy feeling, every moment you didn't feel fine, I don't have answers for you. I only have questions, because I know, in the stillness, when everything else has quieted, sometimes it's the questions that become the first real light. I'm an owl. I don't ask so you'll answer out loud. I ask so you'll pause long enough to hear what your heart has to say. And I don't know if you've listened to every word I've spoken, or just part of them. But I want to leave you with this, because sometimes the final sentence is the one that stays the longest. I'm an owl. I don't live to shine. I live to see what light can't reveal. All my life, I've never chased the crowd. I don't need a bright morning to start my day, or applause to know I've done something right. I fly alone. I hunt in silence. I exist in shadow. And I'm okay with that. No, more than okay. I'm full, because darkness isn't always scary. Sometimes it's where the truest parts of us are finally seen. You can be cheerful, strong, outgoing on the outside. But if there's a quiet place inside you, no one's ever entered. Maybe you're more like me than you think. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to shine to be noticed. You just need to know who you are. And be honest about what you feel. Be brave when you don't know where you're going. Be patient when no one sees you yet, and be silent if that's the only way to hear your own voice clearly. I'm an owl. I leave without a sound. But if you've ever felt like you're flying through the night and no one knows you're out there, then remember, I've been there too, and I made it. And if you make it through tonight, even if no one sees you, you're already extraordinary.